Hello, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Below the Line, the show about how movies are made. My name is Andres Ramirez, and I'm here with my good friend and co host, Mr. Zach Houston Scott, to talk all about Pixar and their newest original movie. Is it a flop or will it hop in the box office? Stay tuned and find out. Hey, Zach, how are
Hey,
you?
I'm doing pretty good. For someone who didn't even know what this movie was a couple weeks ago, you sure seem very eager to talk about it.
Well, I think it was a pleasant surprise of a film. All I can say. I agree with my past version of myself. It had a terrible advertising campaign.
Well, as of this recording, it is doing a lot better than something like Elio did last summer, which I credit a lot of it to just it being March and we're coming back into the spring season and kids like this kind of stuff. And this will hold for a couple weeks
Until
until
Mario.
Mario. Oh yeah, because I mean Mario's going to have another
Yeah.
trailer on Monday and release its tickets, and I can already anticipate that being already outgrossing this and GOAT for animated film and being one of the highest grossing films of the year.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's interesting because Pixar, I sort of feel Pixar is in a creative, I don't want to say bankruptcy, but in a creative stalemate. And it puts Pixar in a very weird state. And this film is like, I'd be curious to hear the behind the scenes whether this was meant to go for streaming or was this actually meant to go theatrically all the
Well,
time.
the timing is perfect for recording this because there was an expose by the Wall Street Journal in regards to the inner. Yeah, it's a
Really?
very fascinating article I gave a read that also confirmed that they're making Monsters Inc. 3. So, that's coming up in the next.
Another
Yeah, another
sequel?
sequel, but they did have two original movies planned as well. One of them being a musical. That's something they haven't done yet. Well, okay, not Coco aside, they haven't done a straight musical before because that was always Disney's thing. But now, since they seem to be kind of stepping away from that slightly, it's more or less, free game for them to do it, as well as a lot more backstory and behind the scenes of Elio, specifically what the original premise and the whole movie was meant to be reflective of.
Mm-hmm.
This is a quote, by the way. This does not reflect my personal beliefs, but they said that we changed the movie because we didn't want to spend hundreds of millions of dollars into a group therapy session for a select few. We wanted to tell a universal story, hence why we made the changes to make Elio more inclusive to everybody rather than just a select minority. Because he was supposed to be gay in the original version.
I mean, a lot of that could be hinted
Oh,
in the
100%.
subtext of that
Rewatching
film.
that movie ahead of Hoppers, yeah, you can definitely tell that was the plan. But
Yeah, talking about current Pixar state, it seems like they know how to do sequels really good, but they have forgotten make the magic of those original movies. Like it seems like very far fetched for them to come up with something as creatively ambitious as the last creative hit, which was Inside Out. Which it's almost like a decade past. I mean, they had the sequel by this point, but since then they haven't figured out another film that is similar in that context, connecting with an audience and being a new original IP for
well,
them.
it's funny you mentioned that because I do think that when Inside Out came out, it did have a supporting character in Riley, but Pixar's originals have tended to focus more on kids as protagonists. Like I want to
Hmm.
say, ever since not Soul withstanding, but Coco came out, it's always
Soul
Soul is
was good,
great. Like to me, that is
but it was cursed by
yeah. And I
COVID.
think if Soul came out, we wouldn't be having these discussions in theaters. I mean, it came out on streaming, but nobody really paid attention to it
Mm.
because most people talk about Luca, they talk about Turning Red, they talk about Elio's box office woes. Heck, there was even
Elemental.
Elemental. Elemental actually was another one that I think almost bombed, but it was saved because it had good word of mouth.
Eh, it's a very
I
mid
mean, it's
movie.
I enjoy it. I think it's a nice. Other than the second main character, the beta male who is I can't remember Wade, the water guy. He
Yeah,
sucked. He
yeah,
was
yeah.
lousy. I thought oh god, what's her name? Ember. Ember was a much better character than
Hmm.
Beta Male Wade, as I call him, because he just sucks. He is so bad.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think Pixar and its current state.
But just
Uh, but you're
yeah,
right.
because it's focused on them. Whereas he did have some truth to that. He wanted to focus on things that everyone can, at a sense, relate to. Like, yeah, toys, for example. That's what pulls us because they're toys. Even Bugs Life, bugs we relate to. Cars are like even something like Up, where it had an older protagonist. You could still find some attachment to follow this older guy. Ratatouille, The Incredibles. It's a family, so you have like the different age groups, but the last few have been definitely more personal and they have been more like I want to say autobiographical, especially something like Luca, something like Red.
Or
Turning
Turning
Red was
Red.
especially for this director who she tried to apply some of it to Elio, but because it was taken from someone else, it didn't work as well. And Elio suffered for that. It cost too much. It bombed because it was released during a PAX summer where we discussed that last year. And now I don't think Hoppers is going to have that same fate because its director, who created We Bear Bears, kind of has that
He's also the same voice of the best character in
true.
Lightyear,
Yeah,
the
is
director. I forgot about Lightyear, but he's the
the
dog
cat, the
or
self help.
the other cat. Yeah, the cat.
I
The
think
cat.
most people want to forget about Lightyear. That's why we're getting Toy Story 5.
Well, Tim Allen is not Chris Evans.
No, he's not. Even
Well,
Chris Evans
Chris
is not.
Evans, not
I'm
Tim
like,
Allen.
Tim Allen's the OG. He's like Buzz Lightyear. Opinion.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's what I meant to say. I flipped it. Um, yeah, because I think Tim Allen is just a superior
Mm-hmm.
boss. Makes no sense. Like that film is like as in Interstellar. It makes no sense that that's the film that Andy saw that made him fall in love with
Buzz
with
Lightyear.
Buzz Lightyear. It's too
My,
complex of a film to be canonically the film that made him love
my
Buzz
brother and I
Lightyear.
make fun of it because of that intro, and they say this movie was released in 1995. Like, what kind of film was this in 1995? Like, the Buzz
It was directed by Christopher
apparently a
Nolan.
young Christopher Nolan who got super control
Yes,
of it.
yeah, he's in control of Pixar or Pixar U or what's the name of the studio inside the film. I don't know. It's a very bizarre
It
film,
is.
uh, and I think it's one that Pixar wants to forget about.
Yeah, which is too bad. I mean, I was all for Pixar, like a Buzz Lightyear film, but they should have taken more from like that cartoon back in the early 2000s.
Yeah,
To me, that
yeah.
is the tone that a Buzz Lightyear cartoon should be that any kid would like, not this weird kind of quasi live action sort of movie that looks too real for its own good. I don't know. It didn't work.
And it's like a character study, interstellar type of things. It was just too complex for a kid
Yeah,
to fall in love with the character.
that's
And I always like the goofy silliness of Sorg being like Darth Vader to Boss, and they really changed that in that
yeah,
film.
I wasn't a big fan of that, honestly. Like, it was just seemed like a draft that got left behind in an older version of this script that they kept, and it really doesn't pay off.
Yeah, yeah. But you seen Hoppers?
So I have not yet. I am going tomorrow, but my brother got to see an advanced screening of this.
Who's an animator, right?
Yes, he is, and he went to go and watch an advanced cut of this movie. Well, advanced screening of it before it released to anybody,
I
and
mean,
he really liked it. He said that it was probably the best Pixar film to come out since Soul. I mean, which surprised me because when I
hmm?
saw the trailers for this, I really didn't care for it as much. I thought it looked a little weird and on the nose, but he said it was the funniest Pixar movie that he ever watched. Like, it just goes all out with essentially he's preaching to the choir what everyone else is saying with its lunacy and just message
Mm-hmm.
isn't necessarily in the way too much. Like it does pop up from time to time, as you know, I kind of had a feeling it would, but it's nothing like it was before. He said it was a fair compromise, which is a nice way of kind of, kind of what the Lorax should have been when that came out in 2012.
Yeah, to a certain degree, I think your brother is right in the sense I've seen it that the film is Pixar's strongest film. That being said, I think it borrows a lot from Avatar, for example. They even make the synergy joke within inside the film. And I thought, well, at least in the Spanish version, I don't know if they do it in the English version, but I'm sure they do. I think the film is fun once you pass the first act, because the first act is very manipulative in terms of how they make you or force you to care about the story. But there's still a lack of backstory. They set up some things that they don't pay off, and I think the fun comes from the fact that Disney definitely made some choices, thinking a lot of these sequences could be a theme park ride. Like there were times where it sort of felt as part of the Zootopia verse or whatever, in the sense that I know Zootopia doesn't have humans, but the fact that humans and people interact, this feels like a interesting movie with sequences that could feel real in a theme park. But I'm not sure it, as a story, works 100% because I mean, do you remember the quote that Bob Iger said like a couple of years ago, where he said that a lot of productions focus more on the B storyline, which was the message, rather than the A
Yeah,
storyline?
I do. I do.
I think this film, at least the first act, suffers from that, a lot of it, because like the message of the film, it's not really a spoiler per se, because they said it loud and clear, is we all live in this earth and it's our job to figure out together. But they literally say it out loud, so in case kids don't get it, they see it,
Mhm.
right? So it's not subtext, really, there's no subtext to it. But I think the first act can cause some concerns for people. Like at times the character comes as a SJW,
Oh,
like she's like when she gets introduced, they put like rock music and she's about to go protest, and she's all anti the state and corporations taking over the environment. So like that first act, it's tough to get by, but once she becomes a beaver, that's when the film starts to get fun, at least in my
well, yeah,
opinion.
I would figure once she's the beaver, and that's what all the advertisement has been focused on, is her as this beaver and less of her as a human, which is a pretty common trope for Pixar protagonists. If I'm looking back at something like Soul or like,
To be fair, that happens probably like 25 minutes into the film. And it's really the second act she's in the beaver, because in the third act she goes back to being a
oh,
human.
okay, so that second act where she's the beaver, that takes up the majority of the film. Okay, okay.
Yeah. So by the climax, she's back as a human, and like she has to learn how to solve the problem as a human. So from a story perspective, it makes sense. But I think the trailers are very misleading in how they portray the film itself.
Okay. Well, I mean, given this
But
film's lack of advertisement, I'm not surprised that they left that stuff out.
yeah, I mean, and to be fair, I think the film is very, how would I say it, entertaining. It's entertaining for sure. And I think the film delivers. I liked it better than Elio. I liked it better than Turning Red and Luca. But I think out of all the films recently from Pixar with new IP, this one has a weird chance of IP potential, if you know what I mean. Like, I think the theme park was there, but I also think they failed to set up so many things that they could have set up. who knows? They might set it up for a sequel or
When you
something.
said this was meant to be a streaming film, do you feel like this would work better, like if they continued it as a TV show or as an actual full fledged sequel, more or less?
Well, the thing is, the reason I say this feels like a streaming film is because the budget looks not as high as Pixar, if
No,
you
I
know what
do.
I mean. I don't know what the budget was, but for example, when you see the quality of the animation for the Toy Story trailer, that looks higher budget. This looks like Turning Red, like the style of animation. So maybe it's because Pixar has forced us to think as that style, as the low budget style of animation within their own house. That I don't know if this was meant to be a streaming show. I also think the script has a lot of plot holes within it. Like the logic of the script is non-existent. Like, why are beavers in charge of the mammal species? Like, there's like segments. Like, that's what I meant by Zootopia-esque. There's like kings of the bugs, kings of mammals. But for whatever reason, the kings of the mammals are the beavers. But it makes no sense, like fish for all the ocean life. So it's a film that has some logic flaws, and I think the biggest one is there's like two antagonists. One is the major, but he has like something in common with the main character, but they never really set it up.
Okay.
They set it up, but they never paid off. So I think that's something that they probably cut in post production, or they just really didn't think about it. But I think the quality of the script at times feels like it's underdeveloped, and like this was meant to be a streaming show. If they do get a sequel, I would increase the budget and keep it theatrically,
Yeah.
because I think that would work better in favor of what the film is trying to be, and that theme park synergy that Disney loves so
Hmm.
much. Like, it's not Ratatouille, um, but they do have some cool Easter eggs regarding other Pixar films. At the end, there's one that it's cool in, well, at least I think it refers to Up. Maybe it's not, but I thought about Up when seeing that film.
No, that's great. A lot of Easter eggs. I like that. They got to pay tribute to
But
themselves.
Peter, what's his name? Peter Docker, or what's
The
the
Doctor?
guy? Yeah, I don't know if he's John Lasseter. I don't know if he's the ideal replacement for John Lasseter. I think since John Lasseter got Me Too, they've been struggling to connect with audiences the way they used to when he was in charge of
Fair.
Pixar. That's the truth. And I don't, now that they're owned by Disney, not that they weren't owned when he was in charge, but now it's hard to separate Disney animated films with Pixar animated films,
No,
if you
I
know what I
do.
mean.
I do. I do.
Like, they're Disney films. One is Pixar, but one is Disney, but they're both Disney, and they don't seem to have a lot in common. Like, they don't seem to be different enough to separate Pixar as a
Hmm.
brand, but I think that's a bad thing because Pixar used to mean something, and even now they don't win as many awards. Before, like I'm talking 5, 10 years ago, if a Pixar movie came out, you knew that was going to win the Oscar. Now they don't even get nominated at times. So I think that's a interesting
Yeah. Well, they
dilemma.
have so many now that they're doing. It's hard to say. And it's very much a competition with more people saying, oh, Studio Ghibli and all that. K pop.
K-pop,
Yep. That's another one. Sony. They're a big one now.
yeah, but they used to mean something, and I'm sure I don't think they mean something. But like for example, I would agree with the reviews that it has. Like I think it deserves like a 7.2 or 7.5 that it has on IMDb. I think that's an accurate statement. I think most people that go see this film are going to be pleasantly surprised, but at the same time, it's not a
Mhm.
masterpiece. And I think where it will do the best, I'm sure the box office is doing okay, but where it will do the best is in streaming. Once this hits Disney Plus, it's going to explode because it's a fun movie. But I'm not sure if theatrical
Yeah.
fun because of the budget. Like it looks low budget, but it's probably not low budget. And the cast is no low budget whatsoever. But I think it's an interesting film, I
No.
guess, that exists. I don't know who greenlit it. I was actually going to ask you if this was part of the old regime at animation at Disney.
I think so, probably before it was retooled, or it may have been just so far along, but it seemed like more confidence than something like Elio, which had troubles and was
Oh,
changed.
definitely, definitely. I think it is, and I think it probably echoes. Maybe this got greenlit in the previous regime, but it definitely echoes Bob Iger's notes towards trying to tell a more concrete story rather than the beeline story. Like as much as this is heavy-handed, uh, I think they try to tell a story first, where kids can learn stuff and stuff like that. So I think it's not as preachy as Turning Red. That one was very preachy. Like the subtext was not as obvious. I think this one is more, as you were saying, universal in its themes. Like nature, we have to take care of nature. That's something that a lot of people can relate. Meanwhile, the other ones are harder
Hmm.
to. But yeah, did that
No,
make
it did.
sense?
And when I see it tomorrow, I mean, I'm excited too. I'll get my own insight to help me figure this out. But
Yeah, it's a Pixar film. So you
I
know what to
do.
expect. That being said, if you're close with your grandparents, the beginning of the film might be
Aw,
tough. Well, you know, Pixar loves killing
even the
parents,
grandparents, I
right?
guess.
Now they are trying to move ahead and kill grandparents. So I guess that's a spoiler, but that happens in the first.
I mean, it's probably easier to do that than kill the parents because they're old.
Well, in this film, the parents are non existent. Like, it follows the tradition of absent dad, because there's no dad in this film, but the mom is a very shitty mom, and she is raised by the grandma. So it's a very weird film from that
Yeah.
perspective. And the whole beaver thing is cool, but it would be funny if the Avatar line is in the English version. It would be funny because it's literally the same technology as Avatar, except less
Yeah.
developed. Like they were like, "Oh yeah, that's cool. Let's just do that, but we don't have to explain how it works." You know how James Cameron spends like half an hour explaining how it works in the first movie. These guys they just explain it in like 2 seconds, Stranger Things style. But you're like, sure, that works.
That's awesome.
But it's a fun
That's
movie.
good.
Any other news in the
This week,
industry?
not as much. I mean, the focus was really on Hoppers and to a lesser extent, Maggie Gyllenhaal's batshit crazy Frankenstein film, The Bride.
I've heard very bad
I've
things of that
heard
movie.
very polarized things. Like it's a very swing for the fence kind of film that I mean, I think people probably respect more than they actually like it because when people hate this movie, they really hate it. But people who like it, they say like, no, she tried to do something different, but very much a feminist take on the Bride of Frankenstein, considering this actor's. I looked her up actually. What's her name? Jessie Buckley.
Bucky,
Yeah, she's very
yeah.
feminist in all of her roles. Like even Hamnet, The Lost Daughter. I'm thinking of ending things, men, women talking. Like Jesus, I've never seen anyone like this.
Maybe what's her name? We'll see. The director from
Greta
Barbie,
Gerwig.
the Narnia film. Yeah, I think to all her films, at least the ones that she has directed so far, are very feminine driven
Well, yeah,
energy.
and I mean, there's nothing wrong with that too, but it's just like,
No, I think she might face the issue with Narnia.
yeah, we'll see.
We'll wait and see. But if Aslan is indeed a woman, it's going to be difficult to accept that if you're a fan of the book, for sure. If
No,
you know what I mean.
for sure. I get that. I get that.
Especially with the subtext of him being Jesus Christ and all of that, I think it's going to be a very nightmarish, nightmarish release for Netflix. And I mean, if I was Ted Sarantos, I'd be like, let me see that cut. I know he promised her like full creative vision, but like with the recent news that they're not getting any new IPs, maybe protecting this one it might be a good idea
I
for them.
agree. I agree. But yeah, other than that, no, it's been a pretty slow week. I think Hoppers was kind of our focus, but just wanted to give a shout out to the bride and its unfortunate ending of Warner Brothers box office successes. So yeah, we'll just have to wait until. Oh, actually, one more thing I did want to talk about. A new trailer dropped for the next big superhero show, Lanterns.
Oh boy,
Yeah,
I couldn't
no,
stand it. I
same.
couldn't
I
finish it.
was pretty mad when I saw this. I think
It seems like James Gunn is gonna get fired.
I don't know if I'm hoping I'm wrong that the trailer is going to be a false indicator, but this was a lousy representation of this character. Like I've heard people online try to justify it, like his costume's based on Earth One take, and I'm like, well, yeah, but that was still like a sci-fi adventure. Oh, but it's just him teaching John Stewart how to be Green Lantern. It doesn't look like that. Like this is probably the least looking Green Lantern thing I've ever seen. And I mean, so
It looks
yeah, it
bad.
looks bad. It looks cheap. It doesn't look like Green Lantern.
CW.
Yeah, CW take on True Detective. Which what does True Detective have to do with Green Lantern?
I mean, James Gunn is not doing well with the DC. The lack of Batman, the Matt Reeves Batman being there, it's a very confusing start to the universe. And let's be honest, Superman was not the hit that he needed to be. And with the whole merger, oh boy, I think his job might be at
I
risk.
think well, it's a more wait and see. Like I will give Lanterns the benefit of the doubt, but Supergirl seems to be more of the same. I'm hoping Clayface kind of turns things around and makes it justifiable, but I still
But
need to see something that he didn't write and direct because last year we had three projects that he did that to be honest felt all the same. Superman, Peacemaker and Creature Commandos, they were all the same kind of ensemble films that you know have the
true.
same character types that he's been doing since Guardians of the Galaxy, or to a lesser extent, the Scooby Doo movies from the 2000s. Hell, even his
What I
Dawn
was
of the
gonna
Dead
say,
remake.
even so, tonally they match very well. But from a business perspective, that's not how you build your universe. You don't start with Iron Man, then jump to Guardians, and then jump to I don't know what's the Iron Man show that just came up.
Iron Man and his armored friends.
No, the new show where Ben Kingsley
Oh,
is
you mean Wonder
acting
Man?
in
Wonder
Disney
Man.
Plus. Yeah, it's as if Marvel would have started with Iron Man, then with Guardians, and then with Wonder
That's
Man.
fair.
Like it's not like Clayface; it's a villain from Batman, right? Kind of.
Yeah, kind of.
Like you don't start with those B, C list characters. You start with Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman, and the Flash, and then you move on to the weird characters. Like from a business perspective, the way he started his DCU makes no sense
No, I agree with you.
outside of Superman. Like Creature Commandos being its first thing and being an animated thing makes no
No, it
sense.
doesn't. That I do agree with you, but I'm still gonna give it a chance. Lanterns already is off to a rough start, but my hope is that a second trailer and more stuff to do with Green Lantern helps, because right now, I hate to say it, that Ryan Reynolds one is looking pretty good on the side now. 'Cause,
Well, he can
I
always
mean,
come
at this
back.
point, Deadpool kind of on ice for a bit, depending on how Secret War and Doomsday does.
Oh boy, have you heard the
Oh, that,
leaks?
yeah, they're going to be in Doomsday and perhaps Secret Wars. I sure have.
Well, have you heard how the movie allegedly starts?
Yeah, that's on Reddit though. I don't want to take anything from online serious until I go and view this thing by myself.
If they start that way, it's going to
Oh,
be
people are going to be
rough.
mad. I will say that. Like,
Killing Spidey, but the cool Spidey, and Wolverine doing it. Oof.
yeah,
That's an alleged spoiler, but apparently that's how the film starts. So, oof, that's going to be rough.
yeah.
Also, talking about the Academy Award season, Sinners, Michael B. Jordan just got the SAG or the Actor Award, whatever it's called nowadays. So, I guess good
Yeah.
for him.
Well, with all the Timothy Chalamet's hate going on because of his bravado and false confidence, I think a lot of his basically award season might dry up, depending on how it does on the Academy Awards.
That and the, what's the word? The reputation with the director, with the alleged thing that
Yeah.
happened on set, on a Good Time set. I think that's what
You mean
happened.
Marty Supreme or Good Times?
No, have you heard about why Josh and what's his brother's
Oh,
name?
Benny? The one who's
Uh,
playing Bowser Jr.?
Benny
Oh,
Safdie
yeah,
split
no, I
up,
know why. I know why. Yeah, that makes sense.
but it has to do with an alleged thing that happened involving sexual misconduct on the Good Time
Mm,
set. Not that they committed it, they allowed it, and apparently they didn't do anything and they knew about it.
yeah, I get that. I get that.
And I think that's why Benny split up from Josh, and apparently this got released just after they announced the nominations, hindering Timothy Chalamet's chance to win.
Mm,
So
it
that
does.
sucks.
That's Hollywood for you.
But we'll see. Not that I care much. I mean, the Oscars being next weekend, it's like too far into the year. Like, there's bigger things happening like who wins Best
Agreed.
Picture. Like, I missed when they were in
Me too.
February.
We have fun talking about it in February, not next Sunday, which, yeah, that is pretty late. Ugh.
But nonetheless, it seems like we are doing this another
We
week.
are. We'll talk next week about Colleen Hoover films because Reminders of Him comes out. Yep.
Next weekend? Isn't it? No, that's in 2 weekends, right?
Yeah,
Project Hail
Project Hail
Mary?
Mary comes out in 2 weeks.
Well, we'll talk about Colleen
Yep.
Hoover then. Do you want to
You
sign us
got it.
out?
He's Andres Ramirez. You can follow him at Jaro2096. I'm the Zach Houston. We're on Instagram, Spotify, YouTube. We are below the line underscore podcast. Thank you for tuning in weekly. We enjoy putting this show on. Feel free to comment, like, subscribe, and let us know how you want us to improve the show. We're always looking to, you know, tackle constructive criticism and feedback as filmmakers. And we like bringing attention to what's going on with the Hollywood scene. So you take it easy and have a good one.
Bye bye. This was fun. And we love
We
doing
do.
this for fun.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.